Hello, I'm DIY Dick and welcome back to the channel and the first job of 2020. Now, after removing the wasp nest, which was just over my shoulder behind me, I know it's a bit dark, but if you haven't seen the other video, you're going to have to trust me that I did actually remove it. We did find another job that needs doing, and that is behind me over this shoulder, just here. We can actually see some daylight through the roof, which is obviously never a good thing. So let's take a closer look and see what we need to get done. So there's one of the holes right there leading to the outside world, and as you can see we've got a batten here which has seen better days. Look at that. I think this is the what remains of it. Okay, that's not ideal, but what is good is the tiles. They're full. That one moves a little bit. Not much though. Let's just have another look. Put a bit of force behind that, actually. Yeah, not much at all. And that's the other bit of the batten, which is not very good. But the tiles themselves, they're looking pretty good. So that's one. We've also got another one down here, and again, the batten's seen better days. That's started to rot away, and there you go. There's the outside world. But the good news is, even though the batten is reasonably rotted, but actually not too bad, certainly nowhere near as bad as the other one. Must have been some of the water coming in and just rotting it away. We don't have any dampness on the floor down here, so I think we've been really quite lucky. We've not really had any water ingress to speak of, so that is good news. But the tiles themselves are, there's a little bit of movement in that one, but that's okay. Not really going anywhere. So as this is no good to man and beast, well, there you go, look at that. It just came straight out of my hand. So trying not to make life any more difficult for myself than it has to be, I'm just going to try and remove the rotten bit of batten here, and then just see if we can replace that with another good bit of wood. Just very careful of, I'm very aware of trying to not dislodge another tile, because that's the last thing we need. Alright, there we go. Let's have a look. Right, now we're actually getting onto solid wood. Still not perfect, but in much better condition than the bit that was there, which was basically non-existent really. So let's measure and see what we need to do. Not exactly the easiest area to work in, but anyway, we'll do what we can do, eh? Okay, so we've got about 37 odd centimetres there. Now, I brought a few other bits of wood up with me. That's actually a batten, but actually an awful lot bigger than what we've got in this particular roof space. I've got some other bits of wood as well, which might actually be a little bit more relevant. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably just use this bit, measure 37 centimetres and make a cut. Okay, so with that now cut, let's just do a test fit and see what we're dealing with. Okay, oh, we got the nail in the way a little bit. Let's just try and wedge that in. Okay, it's not looking too bad. I think that needs to go down a little bit. Pull it back. Oh, I don't think that is looking too bad, is it? Not at all. Okay, so that's good. Still doesn't fix the hole, of course, but just gives support to what we've got there. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably just put a bit of bracing in between these two bits of wood just to connect them together, and then I think that's going to be okay. So now to find out, or in a second, how well this wood holds up. Now, I'm obviously not worried about that bit, but this bit here, let's see how we get on, eh? Well, better than I thought. And while I'm here, even though this is really quite solidly in there, I think I might as well just put another screw in here. So not the prettiest, but certainly very effective. And that really isn't going anywhere now. But that's all well and good, but we've still not filled the gap. Now looking at it, we've got this tile here, which I think is actually, what we've lost, I think this is actually protected from any water actually coming into the house. Obviously holes like this don't stop wasps, but that's actually made life an awful lot easier, and it's only really just rotted this particular batten. Okay, so what we'll do is I've actually got some flashing which I'm going to use in here. Could use a bit of felt just for a temporary repair, but that'll be good enough just for now. So I've got some flashing here just to use as a temporary fix. So let's cut a bit of this and see how we can fit it in that gap. Hopefully that will now do the trick. Let's just see if we can fit it in here. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll do a bit more wiggling round, and then when we're good, we'll just tack this onto the batten. And look, by cutting that bit out, we should be able to tack it that side too, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now onto what I think was probably the most dangerous part of the job, using a hammer in close proximity to the tiles, because the last thing you want to do is then just catch one in any way and make a bigger hole or a bigger problem than you actually started with in the first place. So I was just very aware of making a mistake and even ricocheting off some of the other timber around and just smacking into them. Now, there were a couple of other options, and the flashing did come with some adhesive on the back, but that wasn't really going to be up to the job in this particular application. And, you know, even though I could use some other glue on it, which would have been, you know, a lot more solid, I just thought it'd be easier just to actually tack them in place. Also made it a bit easier for me as well, just to move around or even take off and replace, should I not quite get them to fit properly. So I thought it was worth persevering with. So with the flashing in place, I don't think we're going to get any water in there. So that's really, really good. Now, obviously not a permanent fix, although in saying that, as I've said before, the tiles are pretty damn good all around it, and I've not dislodged anything, which is even more important when trying to make a repair, that you've not made things worse. But anyway, that's good for now. Let's move on to the next one. Now this is going to be slightly different, even though the batten's doing much better. Just the whole profile of this is slightly different, and again, if we look underneath, I think we'll see why. It's because this tile in the valley here is in really good condition, so the water has just really run over the top of it and run down the roof, continued onto the gutter. So I think that's really good, but even so, we can't leave it like that. See part of the tile just there. Slightly unconventional use of a pencil, but hey, it works. Okay. So for this one, I've cut a couple of bits of flashing and I'm gonna stick them together just to give me an extra bit of width, which is what I think we're going to need to get this done. So very much the same as last time. I think if we just install these into position, just make sure they fit in between the tiles so no water can get round, and then I think we can just tack that in place. I think with the best will in the world, I'm going to need to replace that one too. So let's take this out. Yeah, me hammering that there has just literally taken that loose. Look at that, actually, yeah. Yeah, look at that. That's no good, is it? Right, let's take that off. Let's have a measure up, see what we're dealing with. Okay, that one's about 30 centimetres. Do some more cutting and get that fitted. Okay, I think that is now in position because it has to support this tile here, the one where we've got the gap just above it, as well as the one next to it. So that, I think, looking at next door as well, that's looking pretty level. Okay, so what I'm just going to do, because I think it'd be easier, is just put a bracket just like that. Pretty damn difficult space in which to work, let alone film, as well as getting in your own light as well when you're trying to do these things. But anyway, we're almost there. Oh, let's try that again. Let's try that like that. Go. One there. One of these. That's a bit more like it. That's not going anywhere now. That's good. One down below it's seen better days, but it's still holding, so I won't play with that. just leaves us to put our flashing back into place. Making sure that completely fills the gap. We'll sort that out in a minute. Just make sure it's roughly in the right position. Then we'll find the hammer and tack that down. Pleased with how that's gone, and as you can see behind me, can't see any more daylight through the roof. And it's not because all of a sudden it's gone dark outside, it still is daylight. So done what we needed to do, and really was only able to do it from the inside on a temporary basis because the rest of the tiles are in really good condition. It was just a couple of isolated cases and a couple of battens that needed repairing. If it had been more extensive, I would have absolutely had to have done this from the outside, and it was something that I was actually putting off because the last thing I wanted to do was be 30 or 40 foot up in the air in winter in the UK in uneven and wet ground. It's just not something I fancied. But anyway, come the spring and summer when the weather's a bit better, then I'll take a look properly from the outside and actually pick up the tiles that have fallen down, probably sitting in the gutter right now, and get rid of those and do any other repairs that I need to do while I'm there. So thanks very much for joining me again on the channel. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon with some more videos.